Thank you for joining us, first of all. You're applying for a job to be mayor of Austin.
Yes.
Why should people vote for you?
Because I don't represent the faceless influence of downtown money. I have, I think a peripheral vision. I live in Avery Ranch. Okay, we're out here in Avery Ranch today on Avery Ranch Golf Club. The people who live in the peripheral neighborhoods, the annexed areas of Austin, haven't been represented by the clique, if you will, the 04 zip code very well. Large loans influence campaigns. I've declared campaign finance a goal of mine. I'm running an interactive campaign. It's not about dollars with me, it's about ideas. And I believe in the street fight of ideas I can win. I've done business, I've been an employer in Austin. I've been responsible. My core philosophy is to help people, business, charity, and ecology in my business practices. And as an employee of a very large company in an airline with a business unit of something we're around 10,000 people, mechanics, engineers, staff, I've had experiences that have given me a different perspective, and that's a business education that I think fits very well. I've taken leadership positions from my days in the Air Force as a young non-commissioned officer into the airline, managing small teams of mechanics, overhauling aircraft, providing line maintenance, through-trip services. We have every stripe of the human genome. We do not tolerate any form of discrimination. We work with people, and leadership is about listening and working with people and respecting the customer.
What are some of your ideas to make Austin a better place to live?
Redevelop the next generation of land code. Code Next, as they call it. I believe needs to create an environment where small business will want to relocate into the peripheral areas of Austin. We need to develop more housing, more retail along the areas. I like to say, from my perspective, 183 from city limit to city limit, but not so much downtown. The traffic issues driving a lot of the increased cost of living in Near East Austin are driving people out of their homes. We can't promise that gentrification and investment by people, by professionals who earn far more than $28,000 to $32,000 a year won't happen. But what we can is create an environment that will allow us to build and be attractive to business to build in the peripheral areas and take some of that pressure off downtown. I find when my wife reports back that it takes her an hour and 15 minutes to get home from the University of Texas during the drive time, or an hour to get down there in the morning. The problem and the political critical mass isn't the downtown inner streets, it is the commute into the city, and that's been our myopic city council has failed to understand how much growth has occurred out here. One of the members actually asked me after a meeting, "Where's Avery Ranch?" And I said, "Well, we're over by Cedar Park. I can see Cedar Park from my back porch."
A council member asked you where Avery Ranch is.
That's right. So we're on the periphery, and it's someone I respect. Probably had a senior moment, so I'll give him that.
Okay. What are some of the concrete examples where you would fix traffic in Austin?
I outlined on my blog, austinbluedog.wordpress.com, just the other day. I identified 20 intersections where we have traffic lights on our commuter freeways. I continue to hear talk about I-35, and it is a problem. On the Campo 2035 and 2040 plans that are on the austintexas.gov website, you can look at a PDF of their plan, and you'll see that on one of the unfunded infrastructure improvements is ramps that will facilitate traffic from 35 onto Ed Bluestein. If you route traffic down the improved Ed Bluestein that is in planning phase now, improve access across the river and facilitate easy flow onto 71 on the south side, you have created your I-35 bypass without going any higher or any wider through the core of downtown and stopping traffic downtown while you do it. I have a lot of ideas.
What's your position on the rail bond?
negative. My position on the rail bond is it was designed, if not political payback for large campaign loans. It is suspicious to me because it will really create densification around those stations they want to build. Two, it's physically, it's going to create physical barriers. One of the other candidates speaks to creating more east-west movement across the city, and I agree with that. But what he and the rest of the downtown money fail to understand is that that new rail system, that surface rail system, crosses a lot of streets. It has a frequency plan of 10 minutes, every 10 minutes at each station, north and south. So every 5 to 7 minutes, the rail crossing guards are going to come down, stop traffic. About a half a minute or so before that thing comes back up, you're going to create problems we don't have today and we don't want tomorrow. I say no on Prop 1 because it's wrong. It just will not work for Austin. And it's too expensive. And it's another expensive, complex transportation system. Now you'll have a fleet of trains. I know from the airline business, when you have a fleet, when you have multiple systems, your costs of maintenance and operations go up exponentially. And one of the candidates is speaking in front of large groups of people about how we'll have time to look at the actions of the current council and mayor. Well, I don't believe so. I believe they're going to have 60 days to sign binding, irrevocable agreements with HNTB, and I have a problem with them too. There's only one company bidding on this system. A vice president from that company is also the president of Project Connect, spending taxpayer dollars trying to sell us a bond that the big players from downtown are telling you not to look at, and that's not due diligence. My first business, I sold aircraft and spare parts. I was a contractor, and I would never ask a client to buy an expensive aircraft without performing due diligence on the process. I'd look at any deal that we do with any company three-dimensionally. You have to. And you have to keep faith with the taxpayer and the homeowner, the rent payers in Austin. To keep costs down, you have to keep from spending too much money on systems that don't work.
How do you go about building consensus within the city council to get things done? How would you do that?
Well, first of all, the very first meeting, after the citizens decide who's going to represent them, I'm confident they're going to find great leadership. You develop your consensus from meeting on points and having those initial conversations in meeting, in a public forum, finding out where the council is, and you'll probably you'll have a pretty good idea of what you're going to be dealing with on the 5th of November. A leader has to listen and work with people, has to respect people, understand people, have to be able to look at their concerns. I heard a council member running for mayor early in the election defending not spending a $100 million surplus. People in Far East Austin have been forgotten. Just like out here, we don't have problems with our roads out in this part of the city because it's new. Far East Austin and Near East Austin, we need to improve certain infrastructure. That money, some of it might need to be spent, but that's something the city should spend money on. I would look at the organizations of the government in the city of Austin and introduce business-driven modalities to operating those organizations and improving those organizations. At the airline, we used to have a program called Ideas in Action. It rewarded employees for creating teams, identifying new modalities and ways to save money. We had people from purchasing and engineering look at those ideas, approve them, quantify them, and then reward the employees and the employee groups for bringing those ideas forward. We could do similar things in city government.
Many Austinites are very upset with the property taxes they have to pay. What would you tell them, and what would you do to lower property taxes in Austin?
I could tell you that if I can save you on your tax bill, I'm saving me on my tax bill. People who buy property in this city, you're investing in it, right? So I'll do everything possible. I've heard people speak to different percentiles of homestead exemption. I like that, but you have to find out where you're going to get the money. I believe that we can, with a smart growth plan, we can re-engineer the way we conduct business. We can start with our baseline expenditure and cost per capita. Every year we can reevaluate, and as the city has grown, if we use managed attrition by not overhiring, by eliminating vacancies that don't need to be filled, realigning job assignments and management assignments, we can actually quantify the savings and then do a rate, reduce the tax rate on properties. Pass that back. If your passbacks to the taxpayers go back through in the form of rebates through your water bill or Austin Energy, rent payers would also be able to benefit from that. So we have to take care of the rent payer and the homeowner first. I think we've been imagined just about to death in Austin. It's time to inspire Austin for smart growth and new forms of leadership and operating. Make campaign loans illegal so you don't suspect your leadership. And I honestly think our mayor's led well on many, many things. Don't get me wrong. I like to beat up on the process and not the person.
Randall Stephens, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Good luck to you.
I appreciate that. Thanks for coming out.